All right, my friends. I just pressed the Let's Go Live button, and so let's wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the interwebs. We had a little bit of a Twitch notice. We're actually streaming on Twitch, but it says, let's see if this goes live. Let's see. I don't know what I did over there. I don't know what the heck I'm doing on Twitch. Here, let's do this. See if I can shorten this title. Maybe it'll go live. I don't know. Let's see. The Twitch tube is disconnected. Weird. All right. So obviously there might be a title in there maybe that they don't like. I don't know. All right. So no Twitch today, but we're on the other platforms. Tubes have connected. That's tremendous. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today it is trial day 11. And we had a very juicy and emotional trial day. We had Hope Hicks seen here. She was on the stand this afternoon, and things got a little bit teary-eyed, and we're going to see why that occurred as we unpack it. But this morning, we had testimony that we were wrapping up from yesterday on day 10. This guy, Doug Dowse, and we got some photos of what's going on inside the courtrooms, or some artist renderings, as they say. And so Doug Dowse, we remember him. He was the cell phone expert, and we were going through the trial testimony yesterday. We heard some conversation about a recording involving Donald Trump and Michael Cohen sitting around colluding, conspiring, or whatever. And we were trying to unpack what was in that audio. Well, that audio has been released. They posted it over on the court docket. And so we are going to listen to it. It's about 2 minutes plus. We'll see what's inside, because I don't think there's much of anything in there. Okay. They're talking about a guy named David moving stuff around. I don't know what that has to do with Stormy Daniels or David Pecker, or maybe it's his pseudonym, all these different things I think they're going to try to prove, but it's pretty dang weak. And we'll hear that there's a lot of other stuff that's going on. Okay. Trump is like the madman. He's just fielding all sorts of stuff. He's like handling this, taking phone calls. I need a Coke. They bring him a Coke. He just keeps moving on. You'll hear it. And it's pretty interesting. So we'll go through all of that and see what the audio says. Then Trump came out before the court proceedings started today. He explained what is going on with this gag order. And there was some miscommunication yesterday about the gag order. A lot of people on the left were very excited because yesterday Trump came out and he said, I'm not even allowed to testify. And he kind of looked at his attorney, Todd Blanche, and he's like, is that right? Like, I can't testify. And Todd's like, kind of, right? He kind of like nods his head. They're like right in the middle. And then they end it, and everybody's like, no, Trump, you can testify. You can go in there and you can testify. You're just gagged from defending yourself outside of court. But if you want to come in here, right, they don't want Trump to be able to speak without being cross-examined, essentially. All right, they don't want to give him a microphone unless a prosecutor can come back and try to beat him over the head with all their other rigged cases in their Sandoval filing. So we'll see what he says. And he comes out and he clarifies, like, look, no, I can go testify, but I just can't speak. I can't defend myself. That's really what I was talking about. So he comes, he explains that. Then the judge clarified that as we started. And so we'll go through the morning on the trial, wrapping up with Doug Dowse, Doug D, who is this forensic cell phone guy who extracted the data from Cohen's cell phone. We've got Alina Habba, who will round out that segment for us. And then we'll jump into the afternoon affairs, where they brought in Hope Hicks. And man, it was pretty interesting today. We're going to go through it. We got some more photos. This is her when she was there at the White House with the comms director. Of course, she was also in court today. We got some photos on what it looked like. And then we'll look into her background. We'll take a look at her wiki and see what is inside that. We also have Inner City Press going to be reporting there all of the testimony. And apparently there were some tears that came out in courtroom today. So we'll go through that. And then Trump came out after court and had something to say. And so we'll hear what he says about it as well. And so, as you can see, my friends, we've got a lot to get to today. I'm grateful that you are here and with us. The other story that we've been talking about here is this bird flu stuff. And Karine came out, we were talking about, is there bird flu? Are we all going to die again? Are they going to try to stall the election? What's going on here? And now Karine came out. This was a couple days ago. And she said she's not worried about bird flu. Why? She doesn't eat meat. Here's this one.
The Department of Agriculture has been on top of this. I know that they are not seeing any concerns to milk or any of the cattle or the meat that we're consuming. Well, I don't consume meat, but some of you, all of you out there. So obviously they are taking this very seriously. They're monitoring the situation. As far as we understand it to be, is that they believe that milk and consuming meat is safe.
Okay, good. Whew. Okay, so rest assured. Now, she doesn't really give a crap about it because she doesn't eat meat, but the rest of us are apparently pretty good. CNN says, yeah, all right, it's all good. Says FDA is looking into it. Shows pasteurized milk with traces of the H5N1 are not infectious, and so, of course, that's good news. But my friends, regardless of what's going on over there, we got to be prepared for this stuff. And so it is important that we do so. We remember the last pandemic and how messy that was. And so I want to tell you about the wellness company's prescription emergency kit, a contagion emergency kit, many others. The only kit of its kind is this prescription kit. Now, it comes from the wellness company, carefully selected assortment of various different medications that you can maybe use, right, for bird flu or whatever pops up, whatever comes across your desk. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, Tamiflu, Z-Paks, budesonide, all these things that are hard for me to even say. They're all inside. And there's a guidebook so you know how to use it safely. This is backed by people like Dr. Peter McCullough. You know who he is. And every American should have at least one of these kits in your home. And so it's very easy. Takes 2 minutes. Go to twc.health/Robert and use code Robert. When you get over there, you're going to see this webpage. It's going to look amazing. You're going to save $30 at checkout. Use code Robert. It is very, very important to be prepared. Lots to do to get prepared. Very easy to do it. Go to twc.health/Robert, and these kits are only available in the USA. And of course, thanks for supporting our sponsors here. All right, now let's get into the show, my friends, because we got business to attend to. Alvin Bragg's big bombshell audio that he was going to introduce to the jury to show that Donald Trump was in on this deal, this conspiracy to rig the election or whatever their theory is going to be, doesn't land. We had the testimony from Doug Dowse, the cell phone expert, the guy who actually took this data out of Michael Cohen's cell phone. They went and got his cell phone, extracted it, and he was explaining what is inside and how it all works. Now we're going to pick back up. We're going to get into cross-examination from him to say there are some serious problems with this audio. You know, it's kind of cut off. It feels like it might be a couple different audios spliced together. We've got questions about Michael Cohen, right? He's a convicted perjurer. He's somebody who's got some delusions of grandeur. He thinks that he was going to be the AG of this whole country. I mean, that's how whacked he was. So we got questions about what did he do to create this audio and where did it come from? And so we're going to get into all of it before the testimony started because Doug Dowse was back on the stand and he got cross-examined by Emil Bove to undermine really this audio tape. Alina Habba will help explain what is going on, but this is the audio that they were very excited about. The court released this. You see, this was clipped by Molly Crane Newman. You can find the full document over on the courts.gov website, and I have archived it in our mind map for future reference. But here it is. This is Michael Cohen. This is Donald Trump. This is what they played for the jury in the Trump prosecution.
What we should do is get rid of this because it's so false what they're saying. It's such bullshit.
All right. And you heard that. Let me boost this audio so you can really hear it because the audio is a little bit muffled. So we'll just hit that on and you'll hear Trump again. Now he's going to say, look, it's really BS. Okay. Whatever this is coming is really BS. And as we go through this trial, we're thinking about the theme. What is the defense theme of the case? We know the government's theme is Trump's a bad man and he does these types of things. And so you should find him bad because you're a Democrat. And they're just kind of mucking a bunch of stuff up. But what is the defense theory? Are they going to put this back on Keith Davidson or Michael Cohen? Are they going to just say, no, there's nothing wrong at all? NDAs are perfectly legal. We don't need a theory of the case because there's no criminality. That's a theory. Or was this some sort of extortion scheme like we heard about from Keith Davidson, the lawyer to Stormy Daniels and McDougal? And we learned that Keith Davidson also has a history of being investigated for extortion when he was back down there in Florida. So very curious. So what is the theme of the case? And this is the government saying Trump was in on this. Okay, Trump had knowledge of what was happening.
What we should do is get rid of this because it's so false what they're saying. It's such bullshit.
You're right, Mr. President. Probably on the phone.
I think this goes away quickly. I think it's probably better. Do the Charleston thing, just this time. Yeah, in 2 weeks it's fine. I think right now it's better. You know? Okay, honey. You take care of yourself. Thanks, Pam. Yep. Okay. I'm proud of you. So long. Bye. What's up, Mike?
Great poll, by the way.
Okay, so that was the first part. He was on the phone, right? So Cohen is in his office. He's recording this, and you're going to hear Trump just hangs up on the phone. And then Cohen's going to come back out, and Cohen's going to start, kissing the old booty. Hey, great poll, by the way. You're amazing. I love you. And then now Trump is paying attention to him. Okay, so Trump is dealing with a bunch of stuff, just to be clear. So he just was talking to Pam, talking about the Charleston thing. That's going to get moved around. Mike, hold on. Hangs up the phone. Okay, over to you, Mike.
Take care of yourself. Thanks, Pam. Yep, I'm proud of you. So long. Bye. What's up, Mike?
Great poll, by the way.
Yeah.
Seen it. Great poll.
Making progress.
Big time.
And you guys are a good guy.
Oh, Pastor
I
Scott?
can't believe this. No, Pastor Scott. What's happening?
Oh, no. He's...
Can we use him anymore?
Oh, yeah. 100. No, you're talking about Mark Burns. We've told him
Well,
to...
I don't mean that. Mark Burns, can we use him
No.
anymore?
No.
Richard Lefrak, I'm sorry, Richard Lefrak just called. He just had, we have a chance, he had an idea for you.
Okay. So we got served from the New York Times.
Okay, so someone else comes in. Okay, so Trump's seated there, probably at his desk. Someone else comes in. Hey, by the way, someone else. This guy just called for you. Just whatever. Okay, fine. He waves her away. Michael Cohen's still seated there. Okay, by the way, this just came in. Right, he's like dealing with a bunch of different things right now.
Regarding to unseal the divorce papers with Ivana. We're fighting it. Kaslowitz is going
We
to
should never be able to get that done.
never. Kaslowitz don't ever be able. They don't have a.
Give me a cup, please.
They don't have a legitimate purpose.
And you
So
have a woman that doesn't want to unseal.
correct.
So, been handling it.
Yes, and it's
That's
all
been going on for a while.
for about 2-3 weeks now.
All you have to do is delay it for.
Even after that, it's not going to ever be opened. There's no purpose for it. Told you about Charleston. I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with
So what are we going to pay?
funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff.
thinking about that.
All the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know what he's going to
Maybe
be.
gets hit by a truck.
Correct. So I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
I'll pay with cash.
no. I got no.
Hey Don, how are you?
Oh, weird. Okay, so it now ends. Isn't that curious? Now you heard. Now I think what this image is probably the person who's recording this on their cell phone and then ending it and then uploading it, because the file you download from the court's a weird file. It's an M4A. I don't think it natively uploads very well. So this person probably playing it, recording it, and uploading it. But you heard it that last second, right? There was an audio splice. So I don't know what that was, but this is Cohen.
Oh, no. I got no.
Hey Don, how are you?
Okay, right? I guess he's recording something else. Was he splicing something? It sounds like an edit to me. So there's something going on with that. We'll see if Emile Beauvais asks about it. But that last little segment is what they're so keyed in on. They're saying, okay, Michael Cohen said to Trump, we got a little friend here called David. We need to deal with this thing called David. And we know that David D, right? DD, they were saying was the moniker for Trump, as David Dennison was a different name. And they were executing these NDAs using fake names. And Keith Davidson, remember the lawyer for Karen McDougal, he used the name of his bro from hockey, or maybe not his bro from hockey. And once that dude found out that he was using his name in place of the McDougal settlement, he's like, what the heck, man? That's my name. You're smearing it all over court records with McDougal. So they're saying that this is that. Trump is talking about David. Trump is talking about having to move money around. Now, if it's so illegal, it's very strange to me that they're also coordinating with the CFO of the company. So Cohen saying, no, I talked to the CFO, like the chief financial officer. It's not something that's happening under the radar, whatever they're talking about. So it's it's above board. Talk to him. Trump says, we got cash. We got to pay for it with cash. No. We got to do financing. Why? Well, I don't know. Why do we have to finance it? So a lot of open questions about that, but that's the audio. It's supposed to be this big damning audio, bombshell audio. Trump is, you're waiting for something like Trump says, Pay off Stormy just pay her off. Who? Stormy Daniels? How much does she want? 130K? Okay, fine. Just pay it. Make it go away. Something like that, right? Just make it go away. Okay, pay her off. Okay, Karen McDougal, how much for the both of them? There's nothing there. He's talking about business stuff and stuff getting moved around. Michael Cohen's a liar, as we know, convicted as such. And everybody thus far has even blasted him so far. Keith Davidson has said the same thing. Keith Davidson said it was like $10,000 to make a phone call to this dude. That's how annoying and obnoxious he is. We're going to hear in our next segment that we have Hope Hicks, who says the same thing. This guy's a walking disaster. Why did he splice in that separate audio? And as we're going to see, why did he save this audio? Did he save audio regularly? Is there more to the audio that got clipped out? Can we have the full thing? Here is where this begins. Now we go into the trial. We're back on day 11. We know that the guy who extracted that audio is still on the stand. Before the day got started, Donald Trump was out explaining what the gag order means and how this whole thing is going to be working. Here is what he said.
No, it won't stop me from testifying. The gag order is not to testify. The gag order stops me from talking about people and responding when they say things about me. We have people saying things about me and I'm not allowed to respond. So this judge has taken away my constitutional right. And as the Republican candidate and somebody that's leading Biden by a lot, I should be able to respond. But this guy's got me with the gag order. Now we're filing, I think today, a constitutional motion to get this out. We'll be filing a lawsuit on the constitutionality of it. But if somebody says something about me and I'm not allowed to respond, that's never happened before. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. President, thank you for that. So that is what the president said, and this is where trial starts. And as a reminder, this all comes from Inner City Press. We'd not be here and able to do this without his incredible reporting. And so we are very encouraging that you follow his links and support his work. Of course, we put those in our description wherever it is you're watching this. We have Inner City Press, Matthew Russell Lee reporting. He's there in New York in the courtroom observing, tweeting away like a madman. Says, all right, listen, Donald Trump has arrived. Blue suit, blue tie. He's at the defense table talking to his lawyer, Emile Beauvais, who's going to be here cross-examining pretty aggressively here. And to his right is where Emile is sitting. Now, Todd Blanche crosses the aisle to confer with the prosecution, to go have a conversation with Bragg's team, Colangelo. We'll wait for the day to begin. Drum roll. Door bursts open. All rise. Judge comes in. Oh, gosh, this guy. Please be seated. Clerk says, all right, this is the time set for the people of the state of New York versus Donald Trump. Indictment number, case number. Mercon comes out. He says, all right, good morning, everybody. Now, before we put the witness on the stand, I want to clarify to you, Mr. Trump, that you have an absolute right to testify at trial. I understand that there was a conversation yesterday that maybe you did not, so I wanted to be extra clear. You do. Just to clarify, the order that restricts your extrajudicial statements, your gag, that stops anyone from Trump's orbit and Trump himself talking about the fact that this judge donated to Joe Biden and his daughter raised $93 million for Democrats and works for Joe Biden. Trump can't talk about that. So the order only restricts that. And of course, that conversation would not be relevant at trial. Okay, so Trump can't talk about that at trial anyways. If Trump came out and said, this whole thing's rigged, Judge, your daughter, whatever, objection, it's not relevant. It's not relevant. Judge, I already ruled it's not relevant. I'm not recusing myself. You can't answer that question. The jury is to disregard. So Trump can't talk about it in public, in the court of public opinion, and he can't talk about it in the court of law. But he says that, but that's not what you can, that doesn't limit what you can say from the stand. No, of course, when in court, then they have all their rules to stop him from presenting any evidence, as we've seen. So that's why it's called extrajudicial statement, says the judge. A little snark this morning. Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, says, all right, Your Honor, thanks for that clarification. Great. He says, well, let me be clear before we begin, Your Honor. A couple things before we start. Trump's defense says, we have evidentiary objections about the next witness. They're calling this witness in And there's hearsay problem here. They're going to talk about a bunch of stuff that happened outside of the courtroom that we can't cross-examine. They're going to try to bring stuff other people said, she said, he said type of nonsense is going to come in. And we can't challenge that. Like if they say she said something happened, well, how can we challenge that, right? And how can we confirm that's true or not? So he says Bragg and Colangelo, Biden's prosecutors, they're trying to introduce a full transcript of the Access Hollywood tape. But they say it's only coming in to show intent, all right, because Trump had intent. Now, Mr. Pecker already testified about this tape, and I expect there will be a witness today, probably Hope Hicks, who's going to speak extensively about the Access Hollywood grab him by the purse tape. And so we don't need to bring that in, right? There's plenty of people who've already talked about this. It's cumulative, it's duplicative, it's prejudicial, Judge. Keep it out. And also, Your Honor, I just want to bring up another thing. We know that in this courtroom, right next door in the Court of Appeals, that Harvey Weinstein had his case reversed for similar problems that we're seeing in this case, Your Honor. And so I think this court should take into account the Weinstein decision. He says he cuts him off. What? You mean the reversal on Harvey Weinstein? I don't think that ruling changes my view at all if they said that. He says the law of Sandoval remains the same. And remember, the Sandoval issue is in New York. It's a list of essentially prior bad acts that they can use to impeach the defendant. So if Trump takes the stand, they can say, oh, Mr. Trump, isn't it true that you were held for contempt in Areola Angeron, the Aurora Areola Angeralis? Areola Borealis? What was the name? So we have, did you know you were held in contempt there? Did you know that Judge Chutkan issued a gag order? Did you know that you were sanctioned in this case and sanctioned in this case? So they can go through the list. And they've held, they want to add the judges in this case when he held Trump in contempt for the $9,000 we talked about earlier. They want to add that to the list. And so we're saying this is a huge problem. The Court of Appeals in Weinstein, when they did that to him, they found that was a problem. He gets a new trial. He's going back down to square one. He says, so you should reconsider. He said, what? I'm not changing anything. Todd Blanche, the defense, says, Your Honor, I have another thing, by the way. And then there's this true social issue about if you come after me, I'm coming after you. Okay. Now there's been a briefing in DC, the gag order there, but there's no proof of anything. Trump said, oh, if you come after me, I'm coming after you. And they're like, oh gosh, that's a terroristic threat. He says, there's been a briefing in DC, the gag order there, but there's no proof that that caused any damage or whatever. And so maybe they can prove up on their other tweets, but they shouldn't be allowed to mention that, right? They're going to come in other words, it sounds like Bragg is going to try to get testimony like that admitted. So if you come after me, I'm coming after you. Trump said that on his truth. He says, Your Honor, there's no proof that it caused any damages. And the judge says, are you finished, Mr. Blanche? Okay, the jury is waiting outside. Hurry up. Government says, Your Honor, can we be heard before we bring him in? Of course. The court ruled that we can already introduce a transcript of the Access Hollywood tape. So you already said we could do it, so we can do it. Now, can we do it with the photo blacked out? Because it's from the Wayback Machine. They went and got the article from the Wayback Machine. He said, well, the people have a right to establish the date when it was published. And so that sounds fine. So let's get the witness. So bring in Mr. Dowse, and then bring in the jury. So Dow comes in. He's back on the bench. Reminder, you're still under oath, so tell the truth. He says, okay, fine. Bring the jury in. All rise. Hi, jury. Good to see you. Welcome back. We're on day 11. They take a seat. And Trump's attorney, Emile Beauvais, is back up for cross-examination. He says, okay, Mr. Dowse, I want to pick back up with you talking about these two cell phones. Now, you got the consent of Michael Cohen when you extracted the audio from these cell phones, all these files? He says, yeah. And you signed this back on January 19th, 2023. Is that right? He says, yeah. But then you got the data on January 23rd. Is that right? So a few days later? He says, yeah. Now your unit, because he works for the government, he works for the DA's office. Now your unit didn't get the two phones under January 23rd. Is that right? So it came here and then it came here. And he says, now let's talk about the chain of custody. He says, there's only one signature as a witness, not two. And that's not ideal if there's a dispute. Is that right? He says, yeah, theoretically, that's a little bit of a problem. And so we're talking about this very important concept in criminal law, very important. And typically you'll hear about it in cases like DUIs, very important concept, where you'll have multiple people handle a piece of evidence. So in a DUI case, for example, you might have one officer who does the traffic stop. Used to be the case where you'd have officers actually draw blood on the side of the road. Don't do that so much anymore in Arizona, maybe in other states. But for this example, you'd have an officer stop somebody on the side of the road. They were, allowed to withdraw somebody's blood. So they withdraw it. Maybe they hand it to someone else. That person transports the blood. So you have one person who draws it, one person who transports it. That person impounds it into evidence. Then somebody from the crime lab pulls it out of evidence. Then they are the person who unseals it, uncaps the vials and does the analysis on it, and then spits the numbers out. So now you think about it, like you might have three people involved in that chain. The person who drew the blood, the person who transported the blood, and the person who tested the blood. Okay. Well, any one of those people could do something kind of problematic to that in that chain of custody, right? The guy drawing the blood could do something bad. Maybe he uses an alcoholic swab on you to sort of clean you off. So there's alcohol on your body as he's puncturing you. Maybe he does that. He said, no, there's nothing in here. He does it. You don't know. So it contaminates the entire vial, contaminates the entire process. We got to be very clear on what the chain of custody is. So we're talking about that same custody. And it goes from, A to B, B to C, C to D, and it's verified every step of the way. So he's getting into that with him. He says, now, at every step, right, A should sign off that I gave it to B, and B should sign off that A gave it to me, right? So, like, we can confirm both people. Yes, I gave it to you, you gave it to me. Okay, two of us. Now, if there's not two signatures on here, that's kind of weird, right? So, like, somebody else maybe could have just tampered with it and then handed it off to someone else. It's not ideal if there's a dispute about this, right? He says, yeah, theoretically, that's a problem. Theoretically. You'd want to have two witnesses, wouldn't you? He says, probably, yeah, probably. Now, Mr. Dowse, you work for the government from law enforcement here. So you don't know if the phone was hooked up to the internet, do you? I do not know. Now, you found a Signal app on the phone, Michael Cohen's phone, right? I did. And on Signal, isn't it true that self-delete is an option? You're familiar with Signal? Yeah. Isn't it true that self-delete, you can do that on your messages there? Yeah. And it's pretty difficult to get them once they're deleted, isn't it? He says, yeah, it is. Now, when you went through Michael Cohen's phone, isn't it true that Michael Cohen had his Signal messages set to self-destruct in 7 seconds? Is that right? He did. And just to be clear, 7 seconds, right? Not minutes, seconds. He did. Huh. So you read it, it's gone. Like as soon as you see it, it's gone. Now, what about the Dust app? You familiar with that? Yeah. And the Dust app, was that installed on his phone? He says, the Dust app, does that allow you to self-delete as soon as it's read? He says, yeah. And so as soon as you read it, it auto-deletes. It would make it impossible for someone like you to reconstruct that, wouldn't it? He says, yes. So as soon as you open it, it's gone. And Michael Cohen had that app too, didn't he? Yeah. Now, when you're doing this analysis on a cell phone, is it possible that you can have a factor that can reset or that can wipe all data off the phone? Or a factory reset, to be clear, let me reread that again. Isn't it true that if you do a factory reset on your phone, that can wipe all the data off the phone, right? He says, yeah, it can. And there was a factory reset of Michael Cohen's phone, wasn't there? In October 2016, right? He says, yeah, there was. Huh. And so where did the file come from? On January 25th, 2017, there was a sync, a backup sync. Now, you don't know what that backup entailed, do you? He says, I don't know everything, but it certainly had that file. That file came from a backup, January 25, 2017. So we're getting some timeline on this. So that's where it was stored. It was from a backup. So we don't know really where it was recorded, right? What was the date of the recording? We don't know. Maybe there's some context. Maybe you could say he's talking about this, or he's talking about Charleston. Maybe he had a trip there. Maybe it's the Charleston. I think Charleston was after he was elected. You know, the fine people, all the things. So we're trying to make some context about this. But what is the specific date? Do we know? Where'd the file come from? There was a backup. So you know how backup works. Dumps everything on there. But does it show you the creation date? He says, well, that came from that date. Okay. And then he wiped everything also in October 2016, which is before the election. Why did he do that? Why would Michael Cohen, who's just an innocent lawyer who's just doing Trump's bidding, why would he delete all of his evidence, use all of this stuff, right? And lawyers, by the way, who are not doing corrupt BS, don't do this, right? Trump's other lawyers, like the ones representing him on this case and stuff like that, they're logging their work. They're logging everything in their emails. This is how much time I spent on it. This is what I did. This, you know, you paper your file, you log it up. So everybody can see. So when you get hit with a malpractice claim, you got a ton of evidence to show I didn't do any of this. Okay, Michael Cohen went to prison. So where did this come from? He says, well, now you don't know what the backup entailed. No, I don't know, but that file was in there. So now I want to talk about the September 6th file. We'll get there. But first, I want to be clear. You specifically, Mr. Dowse, you did not collect Michael Cohen's laptop, did you? The laptop. You got the cell phone, but not the laptop. We did not. And that's how you could know what he loaded on, right? If you had the laptop. So there could have been, for example, a large number of the contacts on his cell phone. It could have come from the sync with the laptop. Is that true? He says, yeah, it could have come from there. Now, you know that the call was cut off, right? He says, yeah, it was. We listened to the audio. The call sounds like it comes to an abrupt end. It was cut off. He says, but how do you know it was the end of the call? He says, well, I want to bring up a defense exhibit called G19. Put that on the screen. Now, Mr. Dowse, does that refresh your recollection if you're looking at that? He says, well, this was from a report, probably. It says the call, you say, came in at the end of the audio file. Is that what you said in your report right there? He has it highlighted. The call, you say, it says, came in at the end of the audio file. The call came in at the end. But there's nothing on the cell phone about it, is there? No, there's not. And this photo of Michael Cohen in the White House, this photo on the screen, he's at the White House. Is this the metadata? So it must be from his report. Is this from the metadata, you know, location, time, date, sometimes GPS coordinates, cell phone device, camera, aperture, all that stuff? Is that his metadata? Yes. But is it true there's no similar metadata for audio files? He says there's not. So we don't know when it was recorded. Beauvais says, so we can't see that. And I think sometimes you can encode some metadata into audio files. I think you can, right? MP3s, various audio files. We have it as recorded as an M4A. I don't know what he extracted it as, but depending on the audio file, I think you can incorporate some metadata in there. So it's kind of curious. My question is, did Michael Cohen scrape the metadata, right? Because you can go in there and definitely remove it and say, oh no, copy and paste. It didn't carry over. There's no similar metadata. So his point is, you can see exactly when this photo was taken, where it was taken, who took the photo, what cell phone they use, everything, but not the audio. Weird. He says, now, Mr. Dowse, there was another sync in October, right? But the exhibits that we have show nothing about it. So it's true that we would have to just take Michael Cohen's word about that happened in October 2020. Now, the phone was turned on again in 2022. Did you know that? That the phone was turned on again in 2022? Did you look at that? Because they got a copy of the records and they had their own expert look at it. And they said, well, the phone was off for a long time. No, I did not know that it was turned back on in 2022. And did you know that Michael Cohen used it to make another recording? And you don't know what he did? Objection! Sustained. Where was that going? Michael Cohen used it to make another recording, and you don't know what he did with that. Gosh, what kind of recording? Is this when he was doing podcasts with Stormy Daniels? Oh, no. Maybe I might sustain that objection to you. The judge is like, no, man, it's about lunchtime. I need my appetite. Yeah, we're not getting into that. I'm only joking. I don't know where that was going. But Michael Cohen, he turned the phone on again, and you don't know what he did? Objection. He rewinds. So we just have to take Michael Cohen's word for it. Is that right? He says we do. We have to take Michael Cohen's word for it about when this was, I guess, created and where it came from and the authenticity, all this, right? Like who created the audio, who cut it off, where it was spliced, all of it. Guess what? We just have to take Michael Cohen's word for it. He says we do. Beauvais, that's a mic drop moment, okay? That is like masterclass on how you exit a cross-examination. Like literally mic drop. Because Michael Cohen, everybody, this entire trial has been saying what a liar Michael Cohen is, what a piece of work he is. And when Michael Cohen comes out, the jury's going to hear, yeah, this dude's a convicted perjurer. This dude is a bona fide liar. And you just heard from the government's own witness that we have to take Michael Cohen's word for it. This audio is invalid because it comes from Michael Cohen, the most unreliable person in the entire state of New York, who is the star witness of Alvin Bragg and Letitia James's trial. It's incredible. Boom! No further questions. Thank you. Redirect from the government. Conroy comes out. He says, Mr. Dowse, you don't hang out with Michael Cohen, do you? No, I do not. And you actually saw no evidence of tampering, did you? No, I did not see any evidence of tampering. No further questions. Beauvais says, well, you saw the possibility of tampering, didn't you? And you saw that the cutoff of the file came in by a phone call, right? Now, nothing on that in the phone, right? So that's why it got cut off, right? So maybe that's what we heard. Phone call comes in and he picks up the phone. So the phone captured a bit of the audio that he was recording. And it got cut off. The cutoff of the file came off by a call. Now, there's nothing on that in the phone, right? He says, right. Judge Mercan says, counsel, please approach. Sidebar up at the judge's bench. Trump seated alone at the defense table. Todd Blanche, Emile Beauvais up at the judge's bench. Susan Nicholas is one seat down from Trump. They have their sidebar. They return. No further questions. We're done with this witness. Judge Mercan says, okay, next witness. Bragg and the Biden prosecutor Colangelo, they call George Longstreet. And he's a paralegal. Georgia, she. Sorry for the misgendering. Government says, all right, Georgia, where do you work? At the District Attorneys of New York. I'm a paralegal. And have you worked on a case against Donald Trump? Yes. For about the last year and a half, I have. And what have you been doing? Collecting social media info? She says, yeah, I follow him everywhere. Okay, as we said, there's some intern or somebody just every day. Oh, all of his notifications all day. Yeah, I follow his tweets, which is like, what? First of all, it's called X now, and he doesn't tweet anymore at all. He tweeted his mugshot. That was it. So it's like, oh gosh. His Instagram and then his True Social. Now, how many social media posts have you saved? It says 1,500. I use Snagit and then I hash it. And did you review at Real Donald Trump on Twitter? Okay, going back in time, I guess. So that makes sense. Yes, I did. And at POTUS 45, right, she's going back to get all the old ones. And I was thinking she was getting the new ones for contempt and stuff like that, but she's going all the way back. So it is actually Twitter. That's my mistake. She gives us some details. Yeah, I follow him at POTUS 45 when he was actually the president. And what is True Social? She says, it's like Twitter. And did you use the Wayback Machine to review previously published news articles? She says, I did. Now, including this exhibit, I have this Washington Post article, which of course is referencing the Access Hollywood tape. They start to put that on the screen. Todd Blanche, Your Honor, objection. I object to the Access Hollywood. Okay, we already dealt with this. Judge says, all right, jurors, step out for a minute. Jury gets up, they go out. They're like, oh, great. Todd Blanche, the defense, says, Your Honor, we'd like to discuss a stipulation about an exhibit given your recent ruling here. Stipulation meaning an agreement. So we have a decision. We've talked to the prosecutor. They say we will accept an agreement from you on admitting evidence. The example that we always like to use is this contract valid or not? Did you sign this or not? Some people might quibble about the formation of the contract. Some people will say, no, the contract, that's a valid, I signed that, right? And here's the thing. And then you debate about other things outside the four corners of the document. So you can just stipulate that, yes, yes, I was driving the car. Do you have to fight about ID or yes, I was driving the car? Okay. I'm going to step out for a few minutes, says the judge. Needs to probably go get some instructions from someone. Now we're back. Judge says, all right, listen, now I'm satisfied that a foundation has been laid by the witness for authenticity. So the legal assistant from the Bragg office comes back in. I clipped it. I got it from these locations. He says that's enough. So it's fine. Government says, Your Honor, you ruled that we can introduce evidence to offset Trump's claims that witnesses benefit from testifying and to explain previous denials. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And he says something. So we bring the jury back in. And remember, this paralegal is still on the stand. Government comes back and says, all right, Miss Paralegal, Georgia, we have a stipulation to the judge in front of the jury. They're back in. Your Honor, we have a stipulation that the Access Hollywood tape was published by the Washington Post on October 7, 2016. And we offer these exhibits. They start offering some. Trump's lawyer objects to one. Objection. Judge says noted. And then they move to admit. 407A comes in. Now, this is a video. So they actually play the video. The jury is shown the video of Trump apologizing for the tape. He says, this is a distraction. He said, I've said some foolish things. Bill Clinton has actually abused women, and Hillary has intimidated his victims. Sorry, he blames it on Hillary. It's 2016, remember. Georgia, when was this video? October 8th, 2016. It's crazy we're even talking about this stuff in the middle of this criminal trial. A Hollywood. He's not charged with abusing anyone or anything. Now, when was this? October 8th, 2016. He didn't grab Stormy by the purse. October 8th, 2016. And Georgia, what's this? Oh, this is from True Social. On March 15th, 2023, Trump said, I did, again, 2023, right? So now we're suddenly fast forwarding all the way forward. I did nothing wrong in the horseface case. That's Stormy. Felon, jailbird Michael Cohen. And he also said, if you go after me, I'm coming after you. So she gets those social media posts admitted. She's the person who clipped them. I did this. This is how I did it. Okay. Government, no further questions. Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, comes up. He says, hi, Georgia. Thanks for being here today. Did you review the Twitter account of Michael Cohen? Yes. And have you reviewed his TikTok where he's doing his little live streams? She says, no. Have you listened to all of his Mea Culpa podcast? She goes, oh, God, absolutely not. Probably didn't say it like that, but she says, absolutely not. So you have no independent knowledge of how True Social date stamps its posts or anything? No, I do not. Okay, no further questions. And so that is the end of the foundation of where a lot of these documents needed to come from. We needed authenticity, authentication. that has been completed. And so in our next segment, we're going to hear from Hope Hicks. But rounding out the morning segment will be Alina Habba, who's coming out to explain that we are in the middle of a political lawfare environment. And when you compare and contrast, right, we just heard this statement about Trump saying, well, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, how many agreements did they sign, or how many people did they throw off of a bridge, in order to get him in office? A lot. So Alina's coming out and saying this is a very strange situation because Trump is being criminally prosecuted. But when Hillary had some problems with mislabeling campaign expenditures or whatever they're claiming Trump did, they just settled it with a fine with the FEC. Everybody else can just settle this. But Trump gets prosecuted for stuff that's not even criminal.
Let's talk about something else that nobody's mentioning. Hillary Clinton, with the Russia hoax, paid the FEC a violation for paying her attorneys to hide payments for that. Okay? Now, is she in jail? No. 150%. If it's Trump, they will go after you. If it's anybody else, you pay an $8,000. I believe her fine was $8,000. How's that not a paper crime? If we're going to use this standard, it's got to apply to everybody. And you know what? That's not going to be very pretty for the American people, and that's not going to be pretty for the left-wing Democrats. They come after Trump. They're coming after America. It has nothing to do with him. It has everything to do with us. There is no campaign finance violation. In fact, that's what Michael Cohen pled guilty to. The same man that perjured himself in my attorney general case and admitted to it on the stand. We are clearly in a very much political lawfare environment. And as Americans, both Democrat and Republican, if we don't stop it, we are in trouble as a country.
Right on, Alina Habba, delivering it in only the way that Alina can. And I think she's right about this, that there is a double standard. Obviously, we're watching it play out. I think they know there's a double standard. They don't care. It's just raw power at this point. The fact that we're asking them to adhere to old standards, it's like, come on, Rob, don't be so silly. That happened. That was out the window a long time ago when they decided that they could lock you down, steal your property, let other people live in your houses, force you to inject something here, And then we saw that in Georgia, that we had hope that maybe there was still a semblance of justice. Then we figured out that no, actually, even there, everybody's all sleeping with each other, commissioners, judges, defendants. It's wild scene everywhere. And it's just about raw power because they don't want Trump to win. So they'll do whatever it takes. And it seems like it's backfiring on them. People are sick of it. We want real justice in America so that we can just go about our lives and live normal, peaceful endeavors. So, my friends, we're going to be here continuing to cover this case. Of course, in our next segment, we're jumping into the Hope Hicks testimony. Thank you for subscribing and joining us wherever it is you're watching this. Thank you so much for also considering becoming a member at our members-only locals community, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We do morning streams 6 days a week, including on Saturdays. We really try to deliver for our members to create a beautiful, blossoming community with the best people ever, and we have done that. So come join us, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'll see you over there and back here on the next one. All right, but we're not done yet. Now let's jump in to the afternoon segment and see what the Hope Hicks testimony looks like, because we are not done yet. And things have gotten a little bit spicier. But of course, Google logged us out of YouTube because that's just what they do. Like in the middle of the stream. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know why it does that, but we're back in. All right, so we got to figure it out on the fly. But we're not done. We're carrying on. So let's get to it. Michael Cohen obliterated by Hope Hicks. She was on the stand in day 11 of the Trump trial. And you remember her as the White House communications director for Donald Trump. As per usual, we'll be checking in with Inner City Press, who's there reporting. All of his links are in the description below. And we encourage you to support him on his Substack and elsewhere. But what happened in day 11? It was spicy because Hope Hicks apparently broke down into tears. She has a long relationship with the former president. Hopefully the next one. Says that she has been with him for quite some time and even worked officially as his public relations person and political advisor from 17 and 18. She was also comms director from 17 and 18, was also a counselor to the president 20 to 21. And she had been involved for a long time, has gone to some good schools, and we know a little bit about her background. She joined in the 2016 presidential campaign. She was 26 at the time which is young, but he put her man press secretary for the potential presidential campaign. She said he looked at me. He says, I'm thinking about running for president. Says, what do you think about being my press secretary? She's like, yeah, sure, no problem. After Trump's first primary victories, she was asked to stay on, and she stayed as press secretary. So she's been around for a long time, since some might say the beginning, and maybe was Trump's first pick, and that's where she came from. So she's on the stand here today, and that might explain some of the emotions, right? A lot of history, a lot of background there. What did it look like when this occurred today? Here's one artist's rendition of the scene. And you'll notice we got Hope Hicks there, Donald Trump in the bottom left, and Matthew Colangelo, I believe, is the guy who they have drawn for us, which is the Biden prosecutor, who has come down from Obama to Tish to Biden, now to Bragg. And we're following him everywhere he goes, like the bouncing ball that he is. We also have some more imagery here. And this is, you can see the scene. Looks like they have the Access Hollywood transcript up there. You know, when you were a star, that tape transcript says, when you're a star, you can do whatever you want in there, or whatever that tape, right? So there's Judge Merchan. Another inside artist rendition is here. Hope Hicks, close-up scene here. And we learned a little bit more about her background. And so now let's get into the trial and the activities, because Hope Hicks is now on the stand. And as we mentioned, Inner City Press reporting, Matthew Russell Lee, and he has a great many places you can support him. We've linked some of those in our description below. We encourage you to do that. We also have him now with the government calling in the witness. Government prosecutor Matthew Colangelo from Biden's office says, the bureaucracy calls Hope Hicks. Trump's lawyer says, objection, Your Honor. He says, come up here. They come up there to his sidebar. Talking at the judge's bench, they return. Hope Hicks is now in the courtroom. She's brought up to the bench, sworn in. You promise to tell the truth, tell God? I do. Please have a seat. Colangelo says, good morning, Miss Hicks. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury? She says, yeah, I am Hope Hicks. I started working in different PR and marketing jobs, originally back at Hicks Strategies. I was in crisis communications for well-known individuals, and I met Ivanka Trump, and then I started to help with her personal brand, and then that evolved, and there were various hospitality initiatives. And did you work for the Trump campaign? Yes, I did. Mr. Trump, at that time, it was Mr. Trump, said he was exploring a campaign. And what do you do now? Well, now I have a communications company. And are you here today under subpoena by the Manhattan DA's office? Yes. And who's paying for your lawyer that's also here today? I am. Isn't that fun? You got to pay for it. Now, when did you last speak with Trump? She says, oh, summer 2022. Tell me about how you started with the Trump organization, Miss Hicks. She says, well, I mean, gosh, it was thriving. You know, gold golf courses and buildings. Don Jr., Eric was there. It was wild. She reminisces. He's like, yeah, shut up. Okay. Were you called into Mr. Trump's office while he was meeting with someone else? Might be getting into that audio. Yeah, I'm sure. He might call in for poll numbers, for example, or positive press about properties. He'd call people in. Well, who did you report to? He says, well, I mean, everyone who works there reports to Mr. Trump. So him. Are you familiar with Keith Schiller? She says, oh, yeah, that was Mr. Trump's bodyguard. They were pretty close. How about Rana Graff, who had already testified here about calendars and contact lists? Remember, Rana Graff was Trump's kind of personal assistant for a very long time. You know her? Yeah, she was crucial to how everything ran on the 26th floor. Now we have Emil Beauvais, Trump's defense team. Looks like he's moved into the first chair, lead counsel chair. So he's about to get up and cross, and he's been doing a great job of that, obviously, as we saw in the prior segment. And do you know Alan Weisselberg? Yeah. What did he do? Well, he was responsible for all things financial. Mr. Trump lent himself money for the campaign at first, and so he'd help with some of that. You worked on required financial disclosure, didn't you? Yeah. Can you tell us about it? He says, well, we did it, and we put out a press release, so we did our financial disclosures, and kind of we did it. What about Michael Cohen? Do you know him? Yeah, he was the lawyer. He did some legal work. Well, tell us about the campaign then. Yeah, well, Trump said, he just kind of called me. He said, listen, we're going to Iowa. Then we're going to New Hampshire. Then we're going to South Carolina. And I said, okay. And then I became the press secretary. Now, was Mr. Trump focused on press coverage of the campaign? Yeah. Yes, because he was running. What phone did you use, Miss Hicks? The last 4 digits. 0226. And do you know David Pecker? Yes, he was the editor of the National Enquirer. And do you remember being in a meeting with the two of them? No. Did you ever hear phone calls? She says, yeah. Well, there was one after the National Enquirer story about Dr. Ben Carson. I remember that one about Ben Carson, yeah. Oh, what was that about? Something about medical malpractice, I think. Something like Mr. Trump, he was excited about it. He said it might be Pulitzer Prize worthy. He says, this is great, love it. Then there was... First of all, can I just say how hysterical that is? Okay. There's a National Enquirer article, right? It's just hysterical. That comes out. It's like Dr. Ben Carson's like zombie brain surgeon ate a baby's brains during surgery. Donald Trump looks at it, he's like, wow, it's like Shakespeare. Pulitzer Prize right here. Outstanding work. You're going to get the Nobel Prize too on top of it. Outstanding. Go put it on the magazine rack. So then there was a story about Ted Cruz, which to this day, no court of law has proven that Ted Cruz is not the Zodiac killer. And there was another one about Lee Harvey Oswald. Also, probably year after year, Pulitzer Prize, 3 years back to back. Great job. It's just ridiculous. Now, government says, did you become aware of the Access Hollywood tape, Miss Hicks? Did you become aware of that? Yeah, I got an email from the Washington Post. I remember I was on the 14th floor at the time. What'd you do? Well, I forwarded the email to Steve Bannon and to Kellyanne Conway, who was there, and to Jason Miller. Now, did you say in your email, did you say they posted, did you say deny, deny, deny? Exclamation point. She looks at it. She says, ha, yeah, I guess I did. I didn't see that the whole transcript was there. Yeah, I mean, I guess it made the strategy harder. So, yeah. Trump's looking down. Trump's taking notes. Ooh. She says, Mr. Trump was doing debate prep, and he saw the 5 of us talking, and so he asked us to come in. He's walking around. Hey, come into my office for a minute. What did he say? He said about the tape. What did he say about the tape? Well, he said it didn't sound like something that he would say. He's like, I don't remember saying that. Grab what? I would never say that. Were you with Mr. Trump when you saw the video? Yeah, I was. And how did he react? He says, oh, he was upset. I mean, he knew it wasn't good, but it was locker room talk. You know, it's pretty standard stuff for 2 guys chatting with each other. He was just upset. It's like, oh, great. And they dropped that intentionally. It was like this big thing. Trump had a women problem. I'm like, oh, great. That's going to be the end of it. Hillary's like, yeah. What did Trump say should be done? He said we should put out a statement. And so I got the email at 1:30. The story was posted at 3:30, those scumbag Washington Post. We got a story. Do you have any comment? Oh, they didn't comment. And we had our statement out by 4 o'clock. The statement said, Bill Clinton has said far worse. Did you post a video about that? Yeah, we did. We did post a video. And the juries brought and read a statement about the one that came from Georgia about a post. Well, what was the media response, Miss Hicks, when all this came down? She says, oh gosh, it was intense. It dominated the news cycle until the debate. News about a Category 4 hurricane fell away. Okay, we had our own Category 4. Did prominent Republicans come out and condemn Mr. Trump, says Biden's prosecutor, Matthew Colangelo? She says, yeah. Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney, you know, the usual group. What does she mean by usual group? Losers. Did Paul Ryan disinvite Trump from a campaign event in Wisconsin? Objection! Judge Hess overruled. I don't care. Did Mr. Ryan say he was sickened by Mr. Trump? She says, well, it sounds like something he would say because he's such a spineless weakling. It makes me sickened. Okay, why don't you just go raise some more money with Romney for Ukraine? All right. And this is ridiculous that this is being allowed in. Like, who gives a crap what Mr. Ryan has to say? Who gives a crap what Paul Ryan did to disinvite Trump from a campaign event? This is just the judge allowing, guilt by association. In other words, it's an appeal to authority. It's saying, well, Paul Ryan doesn't like it. Mitt Romney doesn't like you. It's all these jurors. Everybody thought this was disgusting. What does this have to do with a false business record? Does anybody know? They're trying to say that this is a conspiracy and the intention to falsify the business record was about a conspiracy, but it's not even charged. It's in the falsifying a business record statute. It's crazy that we're so far astray. We're talking about Paul Ryan and campaign events? And what about Mitch McConnell? Does this refresh your recollection? He said it was repugnant and unacceptable. Mitch McConnell, who is barely functional. Senator Mitch McConnell. Who was John McCain? He was a senator. Objection! Sustained. Finally, are we going to go down the list? Who else? Did Speaker Ryan do a call with House members? And do you know what he said? Your Honor, objection. May I be heard at a sidebar? They go up to the sidebar. He sustains it. Hopefully, it's like, what the hell are we talking about? A House call with Speaker? What? Yeah, so he's like, the judge cuts him off, right? He's objecting. Judge, okay, cuts him off. How far are we going with this? It's not even relevant at all. Cuts him off. Prosecutor comes back. Finally. Gosh. Did you reach out to Michael Cohen? To Miss Hope Hicks? Yeah, I did. There was about a rumor that there was another tape out there. And so I asked him to call a media friend of his. And did Mr. Cohen follow up? I think he made the call. And it turns out there was no such tape. And we were at the debate on Sunday in St. Louis, I remember. The Access Hollywood tape was like the first question. After the debate, there were more reports. And did you attend the rally in Greensboro, North Carolina on October 15th? Yeah, I did. And you remember this? And there's some audio that's played. Someone says, if 5% of people believe it, we don't win, which is probably true. Right? It's very close. Our elections are razor thin. Who had the permission to post on Trump's ex Twitter account at the time, @RealDonaldTrump? Who could post on that? Only Mr. Trump and Dan Scavino. They're the only ones who had control. Had you heard of Karen McDougal, Ms. Hicks? Yeah, I heard about her, November 2016. And what about Stormy Daniels? Yeah, in 2015, there's something about a celebrity golf tournament. That's how I know about her. And after I got the email from the Wall Street Journal, I thought maybe through Rupert Murdoch, we could buy some time or something. So I forwarded it to Jared Kushner. He had a relationship with Rupert Murdoch. Government says, okay, probably looking at emails or text messages. Okay, we move this into evidence, offer this. Judge says, admitted. Now, when you were doing these things, did you ask Michael Cohen for input? Says, yeah, actually, he edited my draft statement on, I guess, the letter to Rupert Murdoch. Or maybe the statement. He edited my draft statement. Maybe the statement they released publicly. And did you speak with Mr. Trump? Yeah, he wanted to have an understanding. I told him what Mr. Pecker said to me, that it was a legitimate contract for services. So now we're still talking about McDougal and that deal. Because remember, David Pecker was the National Enquirer guy. So it's about that contract, not Stormy. Now, he did not want to use the statement that we had drafted. He wanted to write his own, Trump said, a denial, and that we didn't know anything about this deal. So the story breaks. So it's the Wall Street Journal story that breaks about McDougal. I think we had the other one was the Washington Post, if I'm not mistaken, before. So, we're trying to fill in the gaps as best we can. But I think what's happening is they're in a line of questioning where the McDougal story ultimately broke. So he did not want to use that statement. He says he wanted to say we didn't know anything about this deal. Now, when you learned that Stormy Daniels would also be in the story, did you also talk with Trump? Yeah. Yeah, and he said, deny everything. Okay, I thought the story was not about, certain behavior is what she says. I thought the story was not about certain behavior. The judge calls a break. So we're at a break. We fast forward through it. Inner City Press, Matthew Russell Lee reporting. Check out all these amazing links. PayPal, Substack, Patreon, and of course, on X. And they're back after the break. Trump is speaking with his attorney, Emile Beauvais. Judge says, bring the witness out. Ms. Hicks, I remind you, you're still under oath. Jury comes in. Matthew Colangelo continues. Ms. Hicks, did you witness a call between Mr. Trump and Mr. Cohen about this? He says, well, after Ohio, we flew by Hershey, Pennsylvania, and we were getting into a car, and I heard Mr. Trump, but there's nothing memorable about the call. I don't really remember. Where did you start the day on that day? In Maine. And the story about Karen McDougal, I quoted it to you. Can you read it? It says, we have no knowledge of any of this. Untrue is what she wrote. She reads the whole thing. We have no knowledge of this. Untrue. Now, did Mr. Trump tell you to say that? Well, that was the consensus. By who? Mr. Trump? Well, the main point was that there was no romantic affair. That was the point. So I'm going to show you up your grand jury testimony. It kind of feels like your story's changing here a little bit. So I want to show you what you said before when we had you come in and talk to the grand jury. She says, well, look, okay, fine, you can show me that. But as I sit here right now, I don't have a strong memory of him telling me we have no knowledge. Okay, these were very hectic conversations, so I don't remember. You said, okay, thanks for that. But you said when you were testifying in the grand jury, you said it says, Mr. Davidson also represented Stephanie Clifford, right? That's the lawyer, Keith Davidson. He represented McDougal and Clifford. Now, did you text with Mr. Cohen about any of this? She says, yeah. I sent him texts on November 4th and 5th, 2016. Michael was asking me, any news? He wrote, I don't see it getting much play. She laughs. Little irony there, she says. Yeah, got a lot of play. Michael Cohen was wrong about that too, idiot. Okay, then what happened? Michael said it's getting little to no traction. Now, Michael Cohen wrote that he had a statement from Stormy, right? Cohen says, I had a statement from Stormy. What did you take that to mean? She says, I didn't know and don't know. I just wanted to blow past it and keep going. I asked for David Pecker's number. Mr. Trump wanted to speak to Pecker. And Mr. Trump was concerned about how his wife would see it. Oh, no. Wow, that's weird. So there's another explanation. It's not just about a campaign. It might also be about your personal reputation and your marriage and your business interest as a billionaire with multiple brands and multiple businesses, which is why you don't want even allegations to come out. It's not all about an election. There are many other justifications for why he would do this, but they're calling it election interference because they're maniacs. He was concerned about how his wife would see it, obviously. Honey, no, okay, this Playboy, I never had anything to do with her. He asked me to make sure the newspapers weren't delivered to their residence next morning. Oh, gosh. Can you get the newspaper? You imagine that's your life? You're like, oh, gosh. How am I going to talk to my wife about this one? She already saw it on Twitter. She's like, you son of a... When did you start working in the White House, Miss Hicks? January 20th, 2017. And I left between 18 and 2020. And where did you work when you were there? I sat just outside the Oval Office. There were 2 desks. There's a vestibule with a mini fridge and a coffee machine. It was nice. And who was in the second desk next to you? She says, Madeline Westerhout, who we also knew was going to come up. Now, Ms. Hicks, were you aware that Karen McDougal sued AMI to be released from her non-disclosure agreement? Since I've recently been refreshed, I now know. And these text messages between you and Madeline, the other woman who's Trump's also, like mega assistant, sat there. These text messages between you and Madeline, did your lawyer produce them under subpoena? So they're going after, like, even their text messages. Okay, these people are so sick. They're going after coworkers. There's like, what's going on? What are you doing? What do you want to get for lunch today? You want to go for a walk? What's up? Did you see the show? Yes, last night. Yeah, you got all those too. Now, when the Stormy Daniels story resurfaced, what happened next? Trump told me that Michael had paid about a false allegation with his own money. Okay, so Trump told me, Michael, after Stormy came out, what happened next? It's all done now. Trump told me Cohen had paid a false allegation with his own money. So Cohen's. Now, is that consistent with what you knew of Michael Cohen? No, he was not charitable, right? So why would Michael Cohen pay with his money? Like, Cohen's not going to ever come out of his pocket. And part of my thesis on this case is that Michael Cohen is caught in a hard way, right? This guy's a scammer, scheming around, always trying to move stuff around, solve problems for everybody. I think a good theory of the case from a defense perspective is that he needed money and he needed it now. So he needed to conduct like a big hit, a big take, a big scam. You've seen Ocean's 11. What's the big one? Right? They're going to go take Trump for $130K. He's going to take a big piece of that in settling this. It's like $500,000 ultimately, all said and done, once he beefed everything up. So why did he do it? Well, he was not charitable. So they're trying to make it say that Cohen was doing this for Trump, and Trump leveraged Cohen into getting a home mortgage, to get a loan on this. So no, he was not charitable. And this is going to be their, mic drop moment. They're going to say, Hope Hicks says, Trump told me that Michael paid a false allegation with his own money. And then Trump reimbursed him. And I guess that reimbursement was for legal expenses that Cohen dealt with. I still don't see how there was a crime even with that. I mean, okay, that's fine. It's Cohen's his lawyer. Cohen settled something for him. And he reimbursed him. It's a legal expense. What's the crime? All right. So he says he was not charitable. And so the prosecutor thinks this is like amazing. No further questions and walks away. I'm not impressed. Cross-examination. Emile Beauvais is up, Trump's defense attorney. And it's about to get a little emotional. Emile Beauvais says, good afternoon, Miss Hicks. The Trump organization created the communications position for you specifically, didn't they? Yes. She starts crying. He did. Trump created this for me. A lot has been provided through that amazing position. She starts to break down. Judge says, Ms. Hicks, do you need a break? Seems she does. Jurors, please step out. Trump is talking to Emile Beauvais and Todd Blanche. Hicks is back. She apologizes. Sorry about that. Now, you called it a family business, Miss Hicks. Is that right? She says yes. It is. And you said Mr. Trump's relationship with Ronna Graff was respectful, wasn't it? And she was, again, Trump's another right-hand person, handled a lot of stuff before the presidency. She left, I think, before the presidency when he moved into the White House. It was really respectful, wasn't it? Yeah, I really respected Ronna, says Hicks. And then for the campaign in 2015, 2016, now Mr. Cohen wasn't a part of the campaign, right? No, but he would try to insert himself here and there. And Mr. Cohen was supposed to focus on Trump's business credentials. Is that right? As a surrogate for Trump's business credentials? Yes. And isn't Michael Cohen, it's true, he went rogue at times, didn't he? He did. Yeah, he did. He liked to call himself a fixer. Only because he first broke it, she laughs. Cohen breaks it, then he fixes it, then he claims he's a fixer. And he thought he was going to be the Attorney General of the United States. which actually might be a great role for him since they break everything anyways, including American justice. I don't know, he could do a worse job than Merrick Garland. All right. So Trump's attorney, Emil Bove, continues. Now, President Trump's calls with David Pecker, they didn't stick out, right? Because he often spoke with the press, like this was kind of a normal thing. He says, right, yeah, he does a good job of maintaining a relationship with the media, even if they're negative on him. Ms. Hicks, you would agree that campaigns kind of promote themselves at times? Yeah. And they actually promote themselves. Like that's part of their job is to promote themselves. Yeah. That might include probably, buying ads. Yeah. Talking to magazine owners. Yeah. Doing interviews, stopping negative stories. Now, campaigns do negative social media too, right? She says, well, I've only been on one campaign and it was a great one. She's like, right to the Super Bowl, first season. Whoo! Got a Super Bowl ring. It's pretty good, man. And it was great. Did you travel with a laptop? Yeah. Did you send many messages when you were doing this work? Oh, yeah. And there were consistent and constant inquiries about negative stories, weren't there? Yes, there were. And getting together to discuss coverage of these stories, it wasn't strange at all, was it? No, it wasn't. And there was the leak of President Trump's tax ingo. Now, you also met with that, tax ingo. Yeah. And October 8th, he was worried, right? Yeah. Yes. How it'd be seen at home. Oh, maybe the leak of Trump's tax records. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he was worried about how they'd be seen at home. And Ms. Hicks, you've also met Mrs. Trump, right? Yes. And says, President Trump, Melania? Yeah, he really respects her. She doesn't weigh in much, but when she does, Trump really listens. Now, Ms. Hicks, in 2017, you didn't have anything to do with the business records of the Trump organization that was 200 miles away from you, did you? The business records. Did you have anything to do with those at all? No, I didn't. Great. Again, that's another good moment, man. This Emil Bove is pretty solid. No, I didn't. Oh, good. Because this whole crime is about 34 business records. So what the hell are you doing here? No, I didn't have anything to do with them. No further questions. Thank you for your irrelevant testimony. Now, I'm sure he's being very nice to her. I think she's a friendly. She's there under subpoena, under Bragg's and Colangelo Biden prosecutors' order. So he drops the mic right there. No further questions. Government says, yeah, I have nothing. No, of course you don't. Judge says, please approach. Anything else that we need to handle today? Anything else? Okay, fine. We're going to call it a day. He says, okay, go back to your bed. They go back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, jurors, we are going to call it a week. And remember, have a great weekend, but do not read the news. Jurors and other people leave, but not inner city press, baby. Matthew Russell Lee doesn't leave. Judge says, all right, we can continue with the Sandoval hearing. And the Sandoval hearing is the parade of horribles. It is the litany of prior bad acts that they can try to impeach Trump with if he does decide to testify. Todd Blanche is your honor. We can't add your contempt findings to the Sandoval case. It's like in this case, like you can't add what you've done, holding him in contempt and sanctioning him, fining him $9,000. You can't hold that against him. Government says, you sure as hell can. The Court of Appeals has said that the contempt findings can be heard, Your Honor. Judge actually gives this to Trump, says, no, they're not going to be heard here. Okay, you have enough in your little stupid filing. So this is adjourned. And of course, all of this brought to us by Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press reporting. And I forgot to make sure that this is at the top of our timeline. So if you ever want to go follow him and you're watching us on X, boom, you have that now at the top of your timeline so that you can follow him accordingly. Now, Trump came out and he had some statements after the day wrapped up in trial. And here is what he said after day 11 on a Friday.
What was it like seeing Hicks again?
So I'm not allowed to comment on any of that. As you know, I'm under a gag order, which is very unprecedented. But I will say this, that the government, DOJ, et cetera, and in particular lately this office of DA, which is letting crime, violent crime, run rampant all over our city. What they've done to people in my company, they've been after us for years. You take a look at what's happened for years. The Democrats, the radical left, they've been after us for years, and they've destroyed people's lives. They've gone out and hired lawyers. They've been with lawyers for years, being sucked dry. And it's a shame. It's a shame what they've done to this country. And it's a shame what they've done to a lot of great people that have been absolutely ruined and destroyed, not only here, all over. These are vicious, radical left lunatics. The DA here is Soros backed. They shouldn't be wasting time on this. Look what they do to so many people. They're all lawyered up. That's all they do, lawyer up. In the meantime, you can't do anything in the country. The country's going to hell. They have no time. They have no anything left because they're always under siege. It's a terrible, terrible thing happening in our country. And hopefully, November 5th, the most important day in the history of our country, in my opinion, that's called Election Day. Hopefully it's going to change because these people are destroying our country, whether at the border, whether the horrible reports that came out today of jobs numbers, with all you hear, whether inflation, which is destroying us, a lousy economy, Afghanistan, allowing Russia to attack Ukraine, would have never happened. Then you take October.
It's pretty bad. There's a big list there. There's a lot going on. Yeah.
All of these things happening.
There's a lot.
And all they do is they go after people. They destroy people. And it's a shame. So I just want to wish everybody a very good weekend. I was very interested in what took place today. But I just have to say, we have a country to build. We have to rebuild it. Our country has gone to hell. We're a nation in decline. And we cannot let that happen to the USA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll see you back next week, of course, for day 12, which will start on Monday. And shout out to Benny Johnson for clipping those for us here today. But that was day 11. Hope Hicks was on the stand. And you can see that was kind of short. And I thought that Bove did a very nice job. Do you have anything to say about these business records, so-called? Do you have any role in those? Know anything about them? Nothing. Nothing at all. Okay, great. Not even relevant. Why are we here? Looked at the jurors. Sorry for wasting your time with another witness. We'll see who comes up next when we are back here on Monday. Thank you for joining us as we do. We're just getting started on this trial. We'll be covering it in depth just like this. So thanks for sticking around and following along. We appreciate you subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for liking it. Thanks for inviting someone you know or love, sharing it with a friend or family member, saying, hey, they're going through the trial here. It's not publicized live or broadcast live, but this is what we can do to recreate it. So thanks for inviting them on over. We have a great members-only community where we do live streams every morning, 6 days a week, including on Saturdays. We have an amazing community at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'd love to have you come join us. We talk about a bunch of other stuff that we can't get to here. And it's a great way to support the show and have some fun doing it. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'll see you over there and back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for us on the day. It's a beautiful Friday. We got two good segments in the can. Michael Cohen obliterated, right? Everybody says this guy is just a piece of work. And she says that Michael Cohen is the fixer who causes the problems before he fixes it. Also, the Bombshell so-called audio, I think, is a disaster. We've got no source information, no date information. It all came from Michael Cohen, who deleted everything else. He had it spliced or something happened with it, and no one knows anything else about it other than what Michael Cohen says happened. So it's just a joke. So that is what happened today, my friends. Now, let's hear from you. See what you have to say about this, of course. Thank you very much for your generous donos and your amazing comments. Here's the first one from yesterday from Lady Ice. Oh, gosh. How do you like dancing, Rob? Here is what she has created. And let's see what this looks like. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. I don't like it. No. No. It's little, that's not me. What's up, Crash? But I appreciate the effort. It's a nice effort. Thanks for making it. And I appreciate the effort. But yeah. Anyways, Crash is here. It's a little too jiggly. It's a little too flamboyant. It's not me. Crash says, let a Mother's Day message in the comments. Here it is. Says, Rob, I included a nice tip in the chat and says, Rob, I will probably be out of pocket all week, lurking. So I wanted to offer my Mother's Day thanks today. Indeed. Says, some months ago, I mentioned to you that dads discipline 2x4 stuff, like with wood, but moms, 2x4 stuff, but moms raise young boys into solid, responsible men. Alex raised our 4 in just that way. We say, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. It's your day. Bask and enjoy. You earned it. Plus 7 grandkids, 3 boys, 4 girls. Here's a pic of Mom a decade ago. She's a July 4th girl, just like Mrs. G. Hug your mom from us. Man, this is great. So we have a couple photos. Let me see. This is great. Okay, yeah, we have a couple photos. Is this Mom? Is this Mama skydiving away? Amazing. That's Mama skydiving away. That sounds fun. And here's a nice fam. Shout out to our moms. Man, we love our moms in the house. And so, beautiful comment, Crash. We love our moms. We love our moms. We love our moms. It's a great comment. Happy Mother's Day. Of course, we'll be seeing a lot more of that when Mother's Day comes. But thank you, Crash. Very generous. And it looks like you have a beautiful family. So I appreciate you sharing those. DC Metro is here. Says, great content as always. Thank you, DC. Thanks for being a member, my friend. Thanks for the nice comment. Thanks for supporting us. Really appreciate you being here. Have a great weekend. We got this one from Hunter. Membo for 4 months. Good to see you, Hunter. 4 months as a membo. Very fun stuff. Yeah, it's very fun. It's a little insane, isn't it? Rivka, the Jade Gamer, says, I tagged you on the X post with some post by Inner City Press that I'm having trouble parsing. Could you help me figure it out? We'll see. We'll see what we're going to go check X. We'll see if I see anything. Did we get to it today? You sent that at 3:09 at the start of the show. Did we hit it when we parsed through every tweet today? Jennifer says, can someone please tell me why we only allow courtroom sketches instead of cameras in our federal courts? I'm asking for a friend. You know, it's a good question. I think it's just an old, antiquated rule. They had, I've looked into it like several times. They had like a beta test at one point where they were considering it. And I think they say it's for the decorum, for the sanctity of the court. They don't want it to become performative. They don't want it, like, you know, we don't want it to turn into Fannie Willis land. What a disaster that was. Like, the federal courts are not quite like that yet, but maybe they are, honestly. What would it look like in Chutkin's courtroom, to be serious? We should see it all, no doubt. Stephen M. says, Trump gave judge articles to vet so that he could challenge the order on the 4th and the 5th and the 14th Amendment, void for vagueness. Yeah, so I see what you're saying, Stephen. I think you're saying that he's kind of baiting him. Okay, so like, I want to post, but now I can't even get permission to post. So like, I'm clearly gagged, and the gag clearly talks about political speech, and it's so overbroad that I can't even get permission from the judge to post these things, right? So this gag it's even more harsh. Trump is trying to find other ways to ameliorate the damages of the gag, but the judge is even denying that. I think it makes his case a lot more sympathetic. Hey, what's up, Johnny boy? A membo bringing in 5 new membos: D. Gillis, Zancy Pelosi, Deanna M, Anonymous, and Churia 7 in the house. Amanda L. What's up, Amanda? Good to see you. Thanks for becoming a new membo. Hey, what's up, Johnny boy? Says, love the trials and all the coverage you've done on all these trials. Shout out from San Tan Valley. Shout out, man. Santan's beautiful. It's out there. I was just, I was out there a little longer ago. I was not just out there, but it's beautiful out there. I was just talking about it. That's for sure. P.S. The snowbirds are finally leaving. It's like, gosh, I know. Snowbirds. They come in here and infest all of our streets, you know, because it's so cold where they're at. Then it gets hot here. They all leave, and then we can all drive again. We got Knox says, happy Friday, all. I back up my stuff, email it to myself, and everything I file is kept on Texie's file. No one wipes their records unless they are literally a criminal attorney. Yeah, it's insane, okay? In Arizona, we have like record laws. Like, you have to keep it for a certain period of time. You have to like keep your records. Like, what if your client wants your record, you know, and you know, There are like reasonable time frames. How long should you keep someone's felony case file? Like if they go to prison, you just shred their file. What if they need that? So you're supposed to keep your records. It's crazy. Hey, Geg says, Rob, do you think inner city press is just noting what objections are being raised? Because I know you can't scream objection without a reason. Yeah, maybe. So I think the judge was specific about this. He does not want any speaking objections. So he does want objection and then like one word. Like maybe so objection relevance, objection speculation, objection hearsay. I don't know if they're saying that or not. But I do know that they were not giving big talking reasons. And that's why they go up to the sidebar when they need to really talk about it. And of course he can't hear that, so he's not reporting on that. What's up? Great question, Gag. Zachary T says, if Trump is such a wild cannon out of court, you would expect them to want him to make press statements. Odd that they work so hard to keep him quiet. Yeah, it's curious. It's the truth. That's the problem, right? Truth is very dangerous, very damaging, which is why they have to silence that. If Trump was a maniac, just spouting off maniac things, then they would let him out. Like Michael Cohen is a good example of this. Like we're fine. Let Michael Cohen keep running his mouth, do more TikTok live streams, jump all over X. No one cares. Go wild because it's damaging to him. If Trump's statements are so damaging to him, if he's such a loose cannon, a wild man, go run his. It's not. It's the truth. And it's causing a lot of people to shine the spotlight on it. And they're going, wait a minute. This judge literally voted for or donated to Joe Biden, and his daughter is working for Joe Biden. That's strange. Maybe this is not fair and impartial. We got what's up, Sheila B, Sheila FB, a new membo over on the YouTubes. Very great to see you, Sheila. What's up, Brad B says they are punishing Trump to punish us for forgetting our place and for trying to elect someone who we actually and acutely want. That's why we have open borders. Punishment. It's an interesting concept, Brad. It's kind of a humiliation ritual type of a thing. I think there probably is some truth to that. It, humiliate your opponents, dissuade anybody from playing the game. I think that they're dissuading a lot of people from speaking out about this stuff, from, acting as lawyers in these cases. They've done this for years now, and I think it has consequences. And that's the strategy, literally. Salty says, Trump said on the audio, give it to me, I'll handle it, was the moment that his secretary brought his Coke, the drink, not Hunter's favorite candy. I'm surprised Cohen didn't use that. Give it to me, I'll handle it. The drink, he's going to crack it open. Good to see you, Salty, over on the Rumbles. Cowboy Rob says, okay, I'm still scratching my head. What is he charged with? What is the actual crime? That's all. I'm still scratching my head. Well, technically, it's in the indictment, it's false business records. But I don't know what Hope Hicks had to do with the business records at all. They're trying to create a conspiracy charge because it's the object crime of the false business records. They're saying Trump falsified the business records in order to conceal another crime. The conspiracy is all of that, is what they're saying. And it's guilt by association, in other words. The McDougal stuff, it's not even part of the business record at issue. The business record at issue is about Stormy, allegedly. So it's just maddening. We've got Cowboy Rob says, crime, not prime. Dang, voice to chat. I got you, Cowboy Rob. I was picking up what you're putting down. But thanks for being a member for 4 months, my man. Amazing. Sheila P says, I listened at 2x to catch up. Man, that's real fast. Love you all watching the Watchers, fam. That's real fast, man. You got some good ears on your head, Sheila. We got Knox says, thank you for sharing your picks, Crash. Rob, you were hilarious today. I laughed out loud like 6 times. What was I? I don't even remember. Good to see you. It's not me. I'm just your humble transcript reader. I'm your humble excript reader. It's the reality. Reality is hilarious. I'm just, we're just moseying through it. It's good to see you, Knox. Jack Mack, what's up? Says, remember the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason, and plot, something. Fred Petamonte says, who the heck is Johnny Boy? All right, there's one Johnny here. And yeah, other Johnny Boy better be careful. The other Johnny Boy is this little dog here, by the way. So new Johnny Boy, or Johnny Boy with the 2 Y's, meet other Johnny Boy. And be careful with this little rascally dog over here, okay? He knows Jeffrey Epstein. And, I think he hangs out with them, and we don't know what's going on there. So be careful. We got old drill sergeant says, May the 4th be with you tomorrow. Whoa, it is May the 4th tomorrow. Isn't that funny? Oh, is that why they brought that weird actor, Luke Skywalker, out, who is still riding that dude? He's like, do something else with your life. He was out in Kareen's press briefing today calling Joe Biden Joby-Wan Kenobi, right? Because that's how these people govern now. They're so in love with themselves and their stupid jokes. It's wild. Big L 78 says cameras in the courtroom would allow Antifa and BLM to harass any jury they wanted with ease. Well, they wouldn't see the juror's identity. Not sure how easy it is to do now, but something to think about. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, yeah, the jurors get precluded. So it's like, we had juries in, for example, like the Johnny Depp case, which is a, nationally important case for a lot of people. And the jurors were there, and I think that they were, you can protect the jurors, in other words. But I think they're more concerned about us being able to see what these corrupt judges do. That's probably the truth. Charlie R, what's up, says, thank you for reporting the truth. Thank you, Charlie, for being here, for saying that nice comment. We are just, trying to show what's happening as best we can. They're trying to bury it. What's up? Happy Cinco de Mayo Sunday in the house. We got May the 4th and Cinco de Mayo Sunday. Oh my gosh. It's like going to be a little bonanza this weekend. ELZ says, Trump is our lightning rod, whipping boy. We are all certainly learning a heck of a lesson. Yeah, lightning rod, I think, is a good analogy. Right? He's up there. Everybody's striking him. And in doing so, we can see where all the clouds are. Like, oh, wow, that's a big, disgusting, stormy cloud called Joe Biden. Wow. Judy, what's up, Judy? Our newest supporter over on the YouTubes. Welcome aboard, Judy. Grateful to have you. And thank you for joining and becoming a member. Let's say what's up to our friends on X. Of course, then we are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. for our members only debrief before we have our Saturday stream tomorrow morning. Let's see who's joining us on the X. Who do we have? Hey, Fred Pedamonte says, did you see any of the Georgia Senate hearing today? We saw a little bit about it on our morning Membo stream, Fred. I wasn't too enamored by the little bit that we listened to. It felt like just kind of they were talking in circles, but there may have been more that I missed. Johnny said he talked to Joe Neerman. He's going to help him with oral arguments next week pro bono. Well, that's good. So Good Logic might end up in jail then. Well, we'll see. Maybe he'll give us a call. Steve says she testified that Trump knew the payment was to protect his campaign. Not good for Vaughn. That's not what we saw today. I don't think I saw that one today. I saw that it was, part of what they did on the campaign, but that's what campaigns do. What's up, Salty Sarge? Says, thanks for smashing the like button. Watching from Texas is in the house. Guy looking up with attention says, billions of people on this planet eat meat. I think meat's delicious. Mrs. Pierce says, are you reading the same transcripts as the rest of America? I don't know. You saw the one we read here today, Mrs. Pierce. You'll have to tell us. Must watch, Irene says, and Steve B. Steve B in the house. Good to see everybody over on X. My friends, you can follow us on X at Rob Govea ESQ. And it's another great way to connect with some other watchers out there in the wilderness on X. We also post our segments, our shorts, and other things over there. So thanks for joining us there. Now we are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We also have our website where we have PDFs, show reports, daily newsletter, merch store, calendar, all the good stuff. RobertGovea.com. WatcherLodge.com is where you can come join us tomorrow. We have members, or not members, but just sovereign interested people who are interested in sovereignty and self-development. It's free. Come join us, WatcherLodge.com. Sovereignty Saturdays. And we're going to be talking about, well, a lot of stuff. I got a bunch of links saved up on that one, so it should be good. We also have our community meetup in person, June 29th, Trump Hotel, Las Vegas. Come join us. It's going to be lit. WatcherLodge.com if you want to check it out. We're going over to Locals. We're going to be live tomorrow on Locals in the morning, so come join us as well, our Saturday streams. We want to thank our mods and our meme smiths who keep this place so nice and tidy and orderly. Our friends Donut, Mind Me, Economy Pilot, Dog Digger, Janek, Zach Nichols, Ronnie Cole, Playing Hooky, Just Cause, and K Bean modding the Fort Downs for us. We got our friends Sleepy Dog Lee, Nathan N810, Geegum Geegum, and Glocky McGlock memeing the place down for us. But that, my friends, is almost it for us. We had Chaz. What's up, Chaz? Says, the theory of Bragg's case, Your Honor, the crime that Trump committed that makes this other thing a crime, which in return makes this a crime to prove it. I don't know if we're just, actually, now that I thought about it, okay, we're just going to go ahead and smear him. How about that? It's basically where we're at right now. False business records with a fake conspiracy claim about some other federal crime that the feds never even prosecuted, only to extend the statute of limitations. And away we go. So good to see you, Chaz. Thanks for the final dono on the day. First super on a live stream. Very nice to have you. And you have just nailed the insanity taking place over there. But my friends, that is it for us on the day and on the week. We had a busy week. Trial is in session, and we're going to come back next week to get into it again. And until then, I hope you have yourselves an amazing weekend. You get outside, get some fresh air, spend time with your family, your friends, the people that you love, soaking up that sunshine, that fresh air, that vitamin D, that good energy that we need to restore our batteries, rejuvenate our souls and our spirits, so that we can come back here next week and get into it again, recharged and ready to go. And when we do that, we need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful weekend, my friends. Sleep very well. See you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.